Okay, we're back here, and Coach Pittman has a special guest today. You want to introduce us to?
Yes, this is Vince, one of our senior wrestlers. Once again, what we do in programs is we always want to be great. But we at Peninsula, we let our kids, one, give them a voice, and then let them speak with their voice. We teach them how to think, not what to think. And Vince is a young man now who's a senior. He's ready to go off to college. And maybe you can tell him, Vince, what you want to be when you go to college, what you want to graduate and become.
Well, when I go into college, I plan on majoring in nursing, but I don't want that to be the only pathway that I want to go into later on in life. After I graduate college, I plan on going into the Air Force, and I plan on becoming part of the Special Forces Regiment and become a pararescue man, or a PJ for short. And what a PJ does is they deploy with Navy SEALs and Army Rangers, and they're kind of the guys who go in and perform medical operations and save those guys in times of need. Or if a Navy SEAL or someone else is captured, they go in and rescue those guys, and I plan on becoming part of the Special Forces guys.
Okay. How'd you pick that field, Vince?
Well, it's kind of been a calling to me, I feel like, but that was physically demanding as well as mentally demanding, but something that I felt needed to do with having that savior mentality, I guess, because I've always wanted to help people out in need, and especially in times of war.
Okay. Has Peninsula Wrestling helped you in any way?
Oh, absolutely. It's helped me tremendously overall. Peninsula, it's helped me grow, not just as an individual, but it's helped me grow as a character and as a leader on and off the mat. I've led people into choosing right decisions at my own high school, and I've used those skills to help better develop myself and to help me adapt to situations in which I thought I could never adapt to.
Okay. What do you like, maybe not most, but what are some of the things you love about Peninsula?
Some of the things I like about Peninsula is the hardworking atmosphere. Not just that you are going to develop yourself, but that you're also going to help develop other people. So you have experience above a lot of people, and you can use that experience to help better other individuals as well. And that plays a big part, especially in the role of wrestling. And when you're wrestling, you have two partners. One person, might be better at something. Another person might not be better at something. But it's your job as your partner to help develop your other partner and help better train the other person. Be a good partner overall. So.
One of the cornerstones of Peninsula is I believe. Do you believe?
Absolutely. I always believe.
What do you believe?
I believe in myself, and I believe in my teammates. I believe all things can be achievable. I believe hard work pays off. I believe I can be better, and I believe that something good is going to happen to me each and every day.
How has that helped you?
It's helped me in the long run when I've always wanted to achieve the goal of going into the Special Forces. I keep training and I keep believing in myself, that I can do some of the things that are physically demanding. And it's really helped me in the long run, especially through wrestling. For instance, I broke my wrist at least a year ago, but I wanted to continue to wrestle on. And if I got medical attention, I would have been out for my entire senior season. So I made the decision, and I chose to tough it out and believe in myself that I can go to the extremes in wrestling and go further on in wrestling in order to continue to wrestle throughout
I
What
love,
do you think
Vincent,
about?
what you said about adapting to adversity. Any suggestions in for kids at home in times like this, how they can adjust, um, or things you're doing to help you adjust to this situation?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh, I was wondering, you mentioned how you adapting to adversity, and I was thinking about how a lot of kids home now unsure of what to do and what have you, and wondering if you had any suggestions for how they can better adapt and make use of this time.
Well, since we are going through this whole COVID-19 process and how to better adapt yourself physically, some things that you could do in order to help develop yourself still is one thing I like to do is I use a backpack and I fill it up with books or something heavy to use for like lifting, and then I go for runs to help better develop myself. But when it comes to the mental aspect of adapting to yourself, one thing I always like to do is I like to do some meditation, and tell myself that I'm always at peace and think on a goal in which I want to achieve, help better myself, and to help hopefully believe in myself to continue to go forward into, you know. So those are some things you can do at home to help better
Gosh,
develop.
Vince, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Coach, Vince calls me
Oh yeah?
every day. And he asked me two of the same questions. How are you feeling? Is there anything you need?
Mm,
He talks about he wants to help people, and it shows in his behavior
yeah.
every single day.
What made you want to do that, Vince?
To help people?
Oh, help call coach, I meant in particular.
Well, especially during this time in our generation, we have to help out people in need, especially our elderly. And coach is not that old compared to people, but it's always good to help people who have a lot of wisdom and help people who can help better others as well. And even the small things help in the long run to help out other individuals as well. Whether it be medicine, whether it be supplies, it's just the time in which we need to help better develop others. And it has to be an era, I feel like, in which we need to build each other up, not bring each other down by hoarding and supplying for ourselves.
Mm, that's excellent.
Coach, I think the one thing that Vince has hit on is he knows how to ask. Most people are afraid to ask. That fear holds them back.
Hmm.
I think I suggested to you, fear kills more people than death.
Right. Yeah.
And people are just fearful now. They when they look at other people, they don't see the good things. They see what they fear in themselves or in society.
Vince, we were talking before we came on about some of the lessons coaches taught you about working through fears and things. You want to tell us more about that?
Yes. When it comes to fear, you really have to look at it as a wall. And it's not supposed to be a wall in which that you can't climb over, but it has to be a wall in which you can go through. Because one thing coach always talks about whenever it's on or off the mat is fear is only a mirage.
Hmm.
And if you allow that fear to dictate your actions, you can't continue to prosper, whether it be wrestling, whether it be life. Fear can be a true dictator if you allow it to be. And the only way you can continue to advance and persevere through pain and fear is just to accept it as it is and keep moving forward. That's the only way.
One thing I loved about coaching wrestling was kind of like you're saying, you're out, the kids, when you're wrestling, you're out there alone. And so you really get to it. A part of the fun of coaching is helping kids work through their fears and those anxieties and self-doubts and see them develop in those areas. Coach, maybe you could tell us more how you help kids work through some of those fears as a coach.
Well, one, I get them to believe in themselves.
Mhm.
That's the most important thing. One, believe in yourself and don't be afraid to fail.
Mhm.
You know, one of the things in life, if we learn from our mistakes, why are we so afraid to make them? And one of the things that we do is instead of picking people up, we are always putting them down, laughing at them, making fun of them, causing them to look at their situation differently than it really is. Because in the big scheme of things, what does it mean? Nothing.
Vince, you seem really neat. Do you see some of the ways fears hold back some of your peers in high school and other teens? A lot of kids, like Coach said, really worried about what everybody else will think and those things. And I don't know how you work through it or how it's held some back.
Absolutely. Fear, it can definitely hold people back because when I've noticed in high school wrestling, the fear that mostly dictates people are either the records in which a person holds or the physical aspect of their opponent. But the true reality of it is, records, they don't mean anything, and a person's physical structure doesn't mean anything in wrestling. You know, it's a 1v1 sport, it's a technicality sport. It can dictate based off of the other person's individuality and how bad the other person really wants to go out there and just win. A lot of people really base their wins and losses off of a record or their physical structure, but the reality of it is if you believe in yourself and if you want to continue to persevere through this, you have to think and believe in yourself in order to achieve that.
Hey, Vince, did you want to be a state champion in
um
wrestling?
for a little bit, yeah, I did want to become a state champion, but I mean,
What
yeah.
happened?
What happened?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was wrestling in districts and I was going up against the first seed, I believe, for wrestling. And I was wrestling pretty well. And I tossed the guy and he ended up on his back. I was very close to pinning the guy. But later on, the guy in which I was wrestling, he started to tap out. And once he tapped out, the ref didn't see that his back was fully pinned. The first thing the ref saw was he was tapping. So, as a good ref would do, he stopped the match, and he gave me 4 points in the end. But that's about it. And then later on, the guy ended up winning the match, even though he started tapping out. But that's how it goes.
What
And
did you think then? What did you think?
well, I mean, I was mad, of course, because who wouldn't be mad? I worked hard, and it just didn't turn out to be the outcome in which I wanted. But I realized I was still in the game, and I could still make state. If I just continue to persevere and I continue to wrestle, because that's what I love to do. I love to wrestle, and so I did what everyone else would do, and I continued to wrestle. I didn't quit. Next match, I was going up against the guy, and I was going for another toss of sorts. And what happened was the guy elbowed me in a particular way in my rib cage, and one of my ribs popped. And then the people took me off the mat, and they said I was done. And it did hurt. It did sting for a little bit, and I was disappointed. But it's just how it is, and I don't let myself down. I got motivated. I talked to coach. I got the support I needed, and I wasn't afraid to make mistakes. And I just continue on doing me, and I'm working myself to go and accomplish my next goal, which is to become part of the Special Forces.
What did I tell you?
What did you tell me
Yes.
about state champions?
Yeah, you came to me with that story. Oh, he did this and he did that. What did I say?
I believe you said that that's just life, and to just to continue on forward. I don't particularly remember the specific words, but yeah.
I think I talked more about the output as opposed to the outcome.
Yes,
And
that
that's
was it.
what I've always got you young people to believe. It's, I don't care about the outcome, it's the output, because that's what you have control over. And it's the
Yes.
same thing in school. You know, when you take a test, it's the output that you put for the test, not the grade you get on the test.
You know, maybe an
Agree.
Yeah.
interesting thing, Vince. So a lot of kids, when they have those bad things don't work out and they have disappointment, they're like, well, I tried my best, and they give up. And I tried my best and it didn't work out. So I'm moving on. What helped you come back and continue working harder and moving forward?
Well, one thing that helped me to continue was, not being afraid of failure.
Mm.
Like Coach said, you know, if you allow failure to dictate and you just give up at that point, you're not going to really go far, whether it be anything in life, because if you're afraid to make mistakes, then you're not going to get the chance to continue and actually succeed, and talking on what Coach said, don't be afraid of failure. And that's something that I've really used to help me better myself. I don't stop until I know I got something down instantly, whether it be math, science, anything in life.
Great.
Vince is a great person because he has did 180.
Yeah.
Yeah. From when he first came to the program to what he is now. You know, he calls me, he talks, he takes corrective conversation well. He listens with the intent to understand, not to always respond. You know, when he gets in these situations, young people like to throw pity parties.
Right.
And I say, hey, stop that, man. What part did you play?
Hmm.
You know, anything that happens to you, you must know what part you played in that. Sure, the guy got off his back. Why didn't you throw him back on his back? You were so busy into good, bad, right and wrong, equal, or that's not fair and all that stuff. No. Hey, such is life. Such is life. So, and
Yeah.
Vince really
Um,
improved.
I don't, Vince, I would love, how did, maybe tell us more about this 180 and how Coach and Peninsula maybe brought that out of you. What brings it out of you? Why, the reason we wanted to do these was to, get a better sense of why Coach is such a great leader and mentor for kids and adults. Anything that stands out to you that has really helped you and why he's so easy to get along with and trust?
Well, looking back at it now, when I first joined Peninsula, I wasn't really immersed, or I didn't take initiative to know the people around me. But once I took a leap of faith and I started actually talking to Coach, that's when the opportunity arose for me. And that's when I started to develop a connection, not just between Coach, but between me and my fellow peers at Peninsula.
Mhm.
A lot of the time, it could be a little bit challenging getting to know new individuals, that social awkwardness. But once you really actually start to talk to people, and you actually start to befriend them, that's when you can actually immerse yourself in the Peninsula family, and the Peninsula family will take you a long way. So I guess the whole point I'm trying to say is that if you don't talk to people, you're not really going to get that full Peninsula experience, you know? So, yeah.
What do you think of your Peninsula family?
Oh, I love them. I love all my Peninsula family, you know? We're just a neat group. A lot of us are different, each in our own specific way. We're all individuals, you know? We're not all seen the same. At Peninsula, everyone is not characterized. Everyone isn't like categorized, and that's the beauty of it. But so is wrestling. You know, everyone is just as an equal and individual on and off the mat, and that's something Peninsula really holds dear.
Do you like being judged?
Do I like?
Yes, being judged. You know, like when you're out there wrestling, you do it one way, but then the coach says, no, I want you to do it another way. What frame of mind do you have to get in to say, I trust the coach?
Well, I trust the coach, and well, yeah, I trust you guys. I trust all coaches there, and what I allow to be judged is what I accept, you know? So if the coaches say, you know, you're doing something wrong, or you can do another way of doing something, you know, I overall have the authority, in my opinion, to either accept the criticism or put it off. But in the end, on a personal note, I like to accept the criticism from the coaches and staff.
Hey, Coach Dusty,
Yeah.
I had Vincent officiating as well.
Okay.
First time.
Excellent.
How'd you like that, Vince?
Oh, that was fun, Coach. That was fun. Oh, a lot of mistakes my first time refereeing, and you know, it was something, but it's something you also have to develop later on, and you also take on a lot of criticism as a ref.
Yeah, he makes everybody get out there. I learned once you realize I can't please people here, somebody's going to be mad at me.
Of
And,
course.
so it's a great part for your own development and getting over some of that worrying about what other people think, and trusting your judgment and those things. So it's a great learning experience. You're learning how to handle criticism, lots of criticism. You get lots of input. So that'll pay off, especially as you want to become a leader in those things.
Oh, yes.
Well, we've been a little over 20 minutes here. I think we better wrap up. Coach, any last things you want to say?
Keep getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Stay in the mindset of a beginner, and you are successful. And this is just the beginning of your journey. These roads you take in life, they're not just a destination. They're roads to get you to where you want to be. And all you got to do is put one foot in front of the other.
All right. Well, Vincent, keep up the great work, and thanks for making time. I'll be in touch soon.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Have a great